Hey, welcome to another episode of a new playlist I'm calling Cafe Kiyonah. And in this series, I will enjoy my coffee with you. May you be blessed. Sometime I'd like to have a coffee ceremony, like an ancient tea ceremony, and just really relish it and enjoy it, But in this new playlist called Cafe Kiyonah, I want it to feel like I'm inviting you into my cyberspace so that we can have coffee and flip through this book together and talk about it. And eventually I'm going to put Amazon links in the description. And if you watch my video and you choose to use that link to get a copy of the book, then I believe I will be paid a little bit of money from the sale. And that is linked to go straight into the New World Rising PayPal account, which is what we use to pay the costs of making our zine and going on our tour of intentional communities. So for now, with Coffee with Kiyonah, I feel like I've shared a lot of my heart song, and I need to just integrate and process my thoughts for a while and let them build up again. So I'm going to shift gears and start reviewing some books. Books are like artifacts. They're like relics. And they capture the consciousness at a certain point of space and time and awareness. And I'm going to be covering a lot of what I call hippie classics, although you shouldn't limit it in your mind to just hippies liking these books. But when I was in Boone, North Carolina in the 90s studying anthropology, and I knew so many deadheads and festival people and cool, amazing people, most of them had these books somewhere in their house, or they had lent them out and not gotten them back, things like that. So you can see the stack behind me of the first 10 or 11 that I'm flipping through. I'm going to start with Be Here Now by Ram Dass, and each day I'm going to do a different one. So I've got Turtle Island by Gary Snyder. When I read that book, it just transports me through time and space, and I just want to write like someone who's talented at singing just wants to bust out with a song right at the right moment. That's how that book makes me feel. And then The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. There is some classic wisdom in here that is like ascension wisdom, and it's timeless. A book called Ishmael by Daniel Quinn. A book called Mutant Message Down Under by Marlo Morgan. The Fifth Sacred Thing by Starhawk, which I believe is about water wars, among other things. Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. That book was given to me by one of my most favorite boyfriends I've ever had, and I've come across many copies of it over the years. The Joy of Sex by Alex Comfort. Very good manual. Even children who are starting to ask about sex can look at it because it's just totally natural and just shows, what's going on. It's not presented in a way that's dirty or erotic or hot or even passionate, really. But it's very beautiful, beautifully rendered drawings. So when children are old enough to be curious about actually having sex, this is one of the good books. And if you are not tuned into the sexual vibe, you can look at it too. There's a lot of other good books that you'll probably find also, like the Kama Sutra and some other books. But I'm going to start with that one, because that's what my boyfriend started me out on to learn. The next one is Living on the Earth by Alicia Bay Laurel. The whole book is handwritten and hand illustrated and tells how to do so many things, like making mosaics, making clothing, making art, just all kinds of stuff. It's amazing. I love that book. The Cultural Creatives by Paul Ray, which I believe are the people right before the millennials. My age people is the cultural creatives, give or take a few years. So that's the cultural creatives. About 10 to 15% of our population is cultural creatives. And that's what keeps our evolution dynamic. The people at those fringes who are cultural creatives. And the values that they have and the life ways that they live. And then I have a Terence McKenna book. And then I have the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying, which is really, really good. It's like total ascension for real. In a very grounded, peaceful, powerful, oming kind of Tibetan flavor of ascension. And then Mother Earth Spirituality by Ed McGaw or McGaha, Eagleman. I understand and respect that a lot of indigenous people think that their ways should not be shared with people outside of their culture, and I totally honor that, and I agree. So Mother Earth spirituality is not meant to be indigenous spirituality. It's more like natural, human, biological spirituality as we love and interact with the earth and the creatures of the earth, and it blends everything like Celtic wisdom, Native American wisdom, natural wisdom, stalkers, like animal stalkers in the jungle, and shamans and people like that, and just pulling it all together into a new spirituality. It's old at the same time, but new. So each day I think we could have a really cool time by looking at a different book every day. I'm not sure if I should read from it or just talk about it. Today I have Be Here Now by Ram Dass. Now, when I was introduced to this book, I was a very depressed goth chick who had been with a wonderful guy who was a bass player in a band called Cathexis. And I was really neurotic in a lot of ways. Well, we broke up, and it was very traumatic for both of us, even though it happened quickly. And my next boyfriend I found, who was one of my favorite ones, he gave me this book, Be Here Now. And it describes Ram Dass's transformation in his life as he began to witness and accept the principles of ascension, or in his paradigm, the principles of yoga. But he knows it's way bigger than that, and so do we. But there you have it. And it just has so many tidbits. When I even hold this book, I feel like I picture like dusty wooden floors with, a futon mattress on it with like a candle and a pitcher of water, and a ceiling fan going, and wooden windows with no screens, with the wind blowing across the mountains bringing rain, and something old on the stereo like Stevie Wonder's Musicarium, I think it was called. Something cool. And laying there and flipping through books like this. The room I just described was at my boyfriend's great-grandparents' house, Kurt and Mama. So the book has several sections. The first one is the journey, the transformation from Dr. Richard Alpert into Baba Ram Dass. And then from Bindu to Ohas, the core book. And then Cookbook for a Sacred Life, a manual for conscious being. And then Painted Cakes Do Not Satisfy Hunger. And when you look through it, it just seems so profound. You don't even need to trip on drugs or anything. It has such a strong vibe when you're looking at it. You don't have to have that urge, that desire, that unfulfilled thing. Just let it be. Just be, be, be. Be more and more and more. What's holding you back? Your thoughts? You've got to give them up. It's just your ego planning. What are you doing? Planning for the future? Well, it's all right now, but later, oh, forget it, baby. That's later. Now is now. Are you going to be here or not? It's as simple as that. The thing that helped me realize how to be here now, rather than thinking and being in the past or thinking of being in the future, the way it happened for me personally, the ability to be here now, is understanding the unified field theory of consciousness that says that everything exists everywhere, simultaneously, forever. The past moments, those moments 20 years ago, however many years ago, are real right now in this moment, and these moments right now were real back then, and we just didn't know it. It all exists at the same time forever, simultaneously, going in all directions. Once I realized that, I could be here now without being so constricted and just seeing what's right around me, what this dimension of awareness it feels like right now, but being aware of the astral dimension, the etheric dimension, the higher dimensions, the dream realm, other people's nightmares, which I always see as a thought bubble around them that's kind of impermeable. You can just tell, or I can tell. And it's rigid. Even in someone who is really cool when they were young, that can happen. They can get rigid and solidify. Well, it's okay to break out of that, like a butterfly breaking out of a cocoon. You know, it's okay to break out of that. And it's even okay to go back to the things that you found in your youth. I was 21 to 23, when this book was given to me. And I would just sit and stare at the pages for hours. Now, I'm not saying it's the end-all, be-all of wisdom. I feel like we've evolved and clarified and deepened the wisdom that he was sharing. We've clarified it, and it continues to be clarified. But it is a classic. I stuck a feather in there at some point from the beach in Rhode Island that we always go to. Where there is faith, faith is the consciousness of certainty. You're intentionally being certain about something in your consciousness, rather than just letting it be whatever it is, and whatever happens, happens. It is what it is, it does what it does, and whatever happens, happens. You know, where there is faith, there is the presence of the Guru. He is it all. He is all your impurities. He is all your corruption. There he is, smiling at you through them, saying, and this too. He sees. He understands. Total compassion. Total compassion means you are the universe. That's that unified field theory. You are the universe. It might be impossible for you to feel it right now, but I can feel it. It's like feeling like you're full of fractals and holograms all the time. Like in a room of tilted mirrors where the mirror reflection looks like it's going on forever. But it's the whole universe in each little triangle mirror, reflecting in all directions infinitely, forever. You are the universe. You just can't feel it or realize it right now. You are all form. You are the breath. You are the river. You are the void. You are the desire to be enlightened. You are enlightened, or awake and aware. Now, he's not saying you are the creator. I still believe the creator, whatever that is, made everything, and that only the creator can create things out of scratch. Creations cannot. So a lot of the religions will worship the creator, God or goddess, and a lot of pagans will worship the creation, the sun, the moon, the earth, the rivers, the forests, the elements, the seasons, the directions, the totems, the heritage, the art. This is all creations. And everything is within us, and we are within everything simultaneously forever. You know? And carrying that awareness in you, even though you can't exactly see it, that may be a form of faith. I don't know. I just sense it with my senses. It's not a thought. Return to the roots. Return to the roots. You live out your karma. The best I can tell you about karma is, if you are pure spirit, then you are not matter. You are that eternal spirit. Matter is atoms vibrating in patterns that seem solid. Like if you put your hand on a vibrating piece of metal and it feels like it's buzzing your arm really hard like that, it's vibrating it into a solid state of being, but it's not actually solid. The atoms have a lot of space in between them, and there's many, many things that make up each thing, and each thing is held together by energy and has space and air between each molecule. Well, if each of us is that very old being and not this young body, or this body that is going through this life, why don't we remember? Why don't we remember it all? Why can't we read the entire Akashic record? Because of our attachments to the physical plane of reality, which are habitual. It's a consensual agreement with the collective consciousness. When you trip on LSD, you'll often look at your hands. And sometimes your hands will get very dense and turn blackish red purple, full of blood. The more you focus on your hands, the more dense they get. And the more you relax your gaze on your hand, the more the energy flows through until it's light. You can see the electricity running through your veins and your molecules. That's kind of what I'm talking about with life. Because of the power of our identification with our own body senses and thoughts, we look around and we think the colors we see are what the colors are that there are. But we know from other kinds of cameras and other kinds of animals and stuff that there is so many colors that we cannot perceive. We can do our best to imagine, but there's a whole spectrum, you know? Cats and dogs can see energy and they can see spirits. So it's obviously a real phenomenon that other creatures can see. So even though we can't see it, it is there. You know what I mean? So the more and more we remember that, the more we liberate ourselves from just our five senses that are filtered. I believe I was told in science class one time that our perceptions are filtered so that we are not overloaded with information that's not necessary to our survival. But our brains are also designed with our pineal gland and our other glands in our head area. We are designed to generate hormones and chemicals like dopamine and serotonin and oxytocin and DMT. Our brains do this, and our brains have receptors for cannabinoids, LSD, and all kinds of things. Well, from my understanding, entheogens and yoga are supposed to be done together until you attain that consciousness at all times and you don't need the entheogens. I believe I heard that from Terence McKenna. He said if you just do entheogens, that's only half the story. If you just do yoga and meditation, that's only half the story. Really, they're supposed to be put together, you know. So, this book, I mean, you can take it as superficially as you want or as deeply as you want. This is what man's journey into consciousness is all about. This is Om. Home. It's going Om. This is the place. Becoming one with God, returning, and Goddess returning. Divine union, balance, yin-yang, unity. It's the return to the roots that the Tao talks about. It is the stillness, the calmness, the fulfillment. When you make love and experience the ecstasy of unity, that's the place. When you experience a great achievement and you feel a moment of exhilaration, that's the place. When you see a moment of poetry in a flower or in words or in art the way it's supposed to be, that is the place. Right here. It's Buddha consciousness. It's Christ consciousness. Jesus says, I and my Father are one. When Buddha says you give up attachment and you finish with the illusion, this is the place. This is Om. This is home. It's all very real. The illusion is real. It's atoms vibrating in patterns that make things appear to be solid and unfolding according to cosmic laws. You know, developing, unfolding, and decaying and being replaced, etc., etc. And so this book is great for inspiring you. And it's classic. This is the purple cover. And the cardboard, or not cardboard, but like brown paper pages. Incidentally, in hoodoo paper, brown paper is used to write spells and curses and sort of absorb the energy of your emotions to empower what you wish to manifest with your spell. And this book just encapsulates that so well for me, all of that. It's just really enjoyable to read. I think it's a must-have for any conscious person's bookshelf. I believe this one was used. It says it belonged to Mary Grettinger or something. Or maybe Nancy. It's a secondhand book from a thrift shop, believe it or not. I've had to order a bunch of books from Amazon because I couldn't find them anywhere else. And the next one I'm going to order on Amazon is Dharma Bums. I like to get the old ones that someone still has and they're selling used. One that was actually sold in a bookstore in like 1991, 92, 93. And go in and smell the pages. And you can feel the energy of that time in it. And then meditate on that unified field of consciousness theory. So I highly recommend getting a copy of this book, or even several, so you can give them to people. I've always had a dream of buying a bunch of copies and donating them to a local jail so that the inmates could read it while they're in there. If anyone has the money to do a project like that, please let me know. I would absolutely love to do that. To make a spiritual library in some jail or prison. You know, I might put We're All Doing Time by Bo Lozoff in there, and a few other ones. So, yeah, that's a good vision. So, Be Here Now by Ram Dass. I'm going to wrap it up for now. So, remember to be beautiful, be free, and be true to yourself. Be blissed by this beautiful day, whatever form it takes in your life. Be blessed and be a blessing. And as you go through your day, remember to take care and take it easy. Take some time out to go on a scenic little drive on the edge of your town, or go to a coffee shop, or do something. Go sit by the water somewhere. And until I talk with you again, namaste and blessed be.